What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we got a 2012 Yamaha 154 stroke, dealing with a really nasty idle, really inconsistent power band under load, just kind of cutting in and out on us. So we're going to dive in and try and figure out exactly what we got going on. So the first thing that we're going to do is pop the cowl off. We're going to take a look at the spark plugs. That's going to tell us a lot about what we got going on today. Oh yeah, and total disclosure here, I'm not a licensed marine mechanic. I've just been around outboards, inboard outboards my whole entire life. I don't have any fancy scan tools for this motor in particular to figure out if there's any diagnostic issues. That being said, I have a really good feeling when we take these spark plugs out, it's going to tell us at least a general direction that we need to go next. So we can see here, the first three spark plugs look pretty normal. A little bit of corrosion. They probably need to be changed out. We'll go ahead and do that while we're at it. But all in all, very normal. Typical spark plug. That's what it should look like. And then we have the very bottom cylinder that I actually wiped a little bit before I got the camera going on. But you can see that gap has been closed, like there was maybe a little bit of piston slap. And the spark plug itself is actually still very wet. You can tell there hasn't been a very good burn there. It's very black. So we know the issue that we're having is definitely on this lower cylinder. And what's kind of alarming is it looks kind of beat up, like something may have at some point traveled through the intake and bounced around in there. So, which is never good, and it's very unlikely that something like that happened. There's only a couple of ways that can happen. So we're going to check compression, and we're going to make sure that that cylinder and the other cylinders are equal, and go from there. If it has good compression, there's no leak down, and that means the valves are seated correctly, and there's no internal damage done to the motor. Now, like I said, it's unlikely that something flew through the airbox, went through the intake, went around in there and closed the gap up, but something did it, and it doesn't look like piston slap to me. If it looked like piston slap, it would be completely flat. It's unlikely, but typically when this does happen, foreign object usually blows out through the exhaust. If you're really unlucky, it could cause piston issues, cylinder scoring, stuff of that nature. So I got our compressing gauge right here. I'm gonna turn this motor over, see what we got. Okay, so I did a compression check on all the cylinders, did a leak down test. That's pretty normal. Let's check the others. Everything seems normal. All of them are within the parameters they're supposed to be in, which tells me that there's no internal damage. This might have just been a freak accident. Another thing that's important to note when you're putting spark plugs back in is you don't need to over tighten these guys. You just want to seat them firmly. Let's see what we got. It might have helped that I released the throttle body. What I'm gonna do next, just to ensure that fixed the problem before I take this thing back to the water. Everything sounds really good right now, but I'm gonna unplug that bottom injector. And just to make sure, when I unplug that thing, the motor should start to stall. That'll tell me that the injectors are in fact in good shape and it was just a spark plug issue. Guys, just like that, simple spark plug fix the deal. The big thing to take away from this is when you start to notice that you have outboard issues, you have something going on with your motor, don't ignore them and keep running them. I had little doubt that this was something really internally wrong with the motor, like a wrist pin or something like that, just because we were on the water when it happened and we made it back to the dock safely. And if it was something seriously mechanically wrong, it would have happened immediately, especially something like a major internal component failing in the motor, like a bearing or something like that. Once those gaps get closed, they ground out and they will not create fire. So we were getting a bunch of fuel getting dumped into the cylinder. It wasn't adequately burning off, and that's where that nasty idle was coming from. That's where that loss of power in the mid-range was coming from. Either way, got it fixed. I'm gonna head out to the water, do a little test run, make sure everything's good on the upper range. Appreciate you stopping by. Hope this video helps somebody. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.